Hi, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Jen and I'm delighted to meet you. Normally I do a little bit of background in case someone is new, but just to spare the rest of you who know what's going on, I just want to tell you that this video is going to be about my second attempt at trying to achieve my ideal body weight, my ideal body composition, after I tried for 6 months a couple months ago, and also shortly after posting a video very recently about the last time that I binged. Now, let me just say, I don't think you can hear it because I have a little microphone and it cancels background noise, but what's behind me is a new baby puppy screaming bloody murder. I just got a puppy. She's so sweet and I love her, but we're trying to crate train and it's not going very well. So right now I'm trying to see if she can learn to self-soothe. Well, just a couple of things that I want to address regarding the last video I posted, which was about how I will never binge again. I filmed that about 2.5 weeks ago. And I mean, I think that as the viewer, you can easily see right now, I don't look like I've been binging. But if you go back and look through my videos, you can see when I was. My face just gives me away instantly. But I've been doing great. I'm telling you, I will never binge again, okay? And I did get a lot of questions and some pushback from that video. So just a couple things I want to mention. One is just that I don't think I explained very well what happened that makes me say I will never binge again. And the main thing that happened is through my reflection, like that evening, writing down exactly what happened, how I was feeling the whole time, all that helped me to sort of get out of my body and see that what I've been doing all of my life is giving myself excuses for why I binge, right? Like because I started dieting too early, because it affects your brain when you start dieting so early and your survival instincts kick in, or because I messed up on my carnivore diet, or I messed up on this plan, or I was trying to do meal prepping and I ran out of prepped food, or because I had a sweet taste and that triggered my urges. Like whatever it is, I always recognize the reason that I binge when really none of those are reasons that I binged. They are maybe reasons that I had an urge to binge, but I still had to physically make the decision to binge. And so I think once I realized that, I know it seems so simple and I'm just a couple weeks out, but once I realized that, it's so clear to me now that no matter what urge I have, no matter what I do right or wrong, if I'm perfect with what I'm trying to do with my diet or if I completely mess it up, I'm not going to binge because I'm not going to then do that next step, which is to choose to binge. I know, again, that seems so simplistic. And it's not like I didn't know that before, but I didn't know it in my bones before. And now I do. And so whether or not I'm perfect on a carnivore diet, whether or not I have all my meals prepped ahead of time, whether or not I have a sweet taste, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to binge. Now I know that if I set myself up for things to be as easy as possible and then I don't do the thing I need to make it be as easy as possible, it's going to be harder, but I'm not going to binge. So that is a little piece that is missing from that video of what was different about that helped, like what's different in my mind frame, I guess, now that's made me completely confident I will never binge again. So I hope that helps. Now, several people mentioned I've got some psych issues going on and I should probably see a psychologist or a therapist, I guess, whatever. I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I have done that twice before I was carnivore. I sought out therapy for my binge eating and I didn't find it to be super helpful. I'm not saying it could never be helpful, but that's not the path that I'm trying to take right now. And then a lot of you asked stuff about Matt, my boyfriend, if he sees this, because I talk about him and struggles. And anyway, I just mention him from time to time. And I've answered in the comments, no, he doesn't watch any of this. And I know that's a little weird. Like, I think it's a little bit weird, but he doesn't watch it. But, then I think of like my family, my parents, my sister, they don't watch it either. So I don't know. I don't think he's a bad boyfriend for not watching. I guess I would be more curious if I were him. And so this is like a total personal thing I'm going to share with you. I always want to know like everything about his ex-girlfriends and stuff about his relationships. I have all these questions. He doesn't want to know that, right? He doesn't ask me those things. And normally he doesn't necessarily tell me the things that I want to know, like show me a picture of such and such ex-girlfriend. He just doesn't find that to be useful or helpful in any way. I'm just more of a curious person. So anyway, I don't want to poo-poo him in any way. He is truly a very supportive boyfriend, definitely loves me. He He doesn't really understand binging, and I may have him watch that one specific video at some point, but I just don't want you to think that I'm being mistreated by my boyfriend. And I do appreciate those of you who have concern about that. Okay, so I think that's probably enough as far as that binge eating video to move into the purpose of today's video, which is to tell you exactly what my new plan is going forward to reach my goals. But know that when I will inevitably fall off the path one day here and there, that's not going to lead me to a binge. And it would have in the past because I have these very specific guidelines that I plan to follow. And most days I'll be able to, but not every single day. And it reminds me of this saying that I really like. I'm sure you've heard, shoot for the moon and land amongst the stars. So I'm making this very specific plan for myself that's probably pretty much fail proof as far as being able to lose weight. And if I'm just perfect with it, then, I'm landing on the moon. But even if I'm not exactly perfect, I'm landing amongst the stars, so much further than where I am now, as long as it's not undone by binging. So I guess that's just kind of the attitude I have. That's not me giving myself permission to cheat, to not do it, whatever. It's just me allowing myself to not be completely 100% all the time. Or actually, it's more not letting myself have a door cracked open for a binge by saying, well, as long as I do this perfectly, I won't binge. Well, no, that's allowing me to say, well, if I didn't do it perfectly, then I guess I get to binge just this one day. So this is all, I'm almost making it more strict for myself. Anyway, this is me thinking aloud, that thing I do. So let's move on. And actually, I do want to squeeze in a little ad here. This video is sponsored, which is awesome for me. That means that I can make more videos like this. I can make the time to do this because it is time consuming and I have an editor that I have to pay. So watch this quick ad and know that this is a product I use and love anyway. So this is not just to sell you. It's also to introduce you to a product that I use and love, and you may too. The sponsor of today's video is my new favorite kitchen accessory, the Tastee air fryer. I use it several days per week and love it for many reasons, and here are just a few of those reasons. It has a built-in temperature probe to ensure that my meat comes out to the perfect internal temperature each and every time. The reason that's so great is because I don't have to guess how long to cook my food anymore. Rather than choosing a certain cooking time, I can instead choose the temperature that I want my food to reach, and the cooking will stop once my meat reaches that temperature. Tastee calls this their perfect doneness setting. It also has multiple cooking modes, including specific modes for steak, fish, chicken, pork, fries, air fry, slow cook, and dehydrate. Lastly, Tastee has a super useful app that is loaded with dozens of recipes and communicates directly with the air fryer. You can actually choose a recipe from the app, click a button in the app, and it will send the air fryer the exact settings that you need for that recipe. All you have to do is hit the start button on your air fryer. The Tastee air fryer is 5.5 quarts, which is a little on the small side, but I like that it doesn't take up too much counter space. It comes with a non-stick cooking tray as well as a metal cooking rack, which is what I use most of the time. And one of my favorite things is that the temperature probe wraps perfectly around this probe organizer that tucks right into the side of the air fryer. This might be the only thermometer I've ever owned that I don't constantly lose. Thank you so much, Tastee, for sponsoring this video. If you're on the hunt for a new air fryer, then I really highly recommend this one. And if you get one, here's a fun little bonus. I'll be making monthly videos through the summer featuring several carnivore meals using this exact piece of equipment. We could spend the summer cooking together. Wouldn't that be fun? Now that that's out of the way, let's get into the meat of today's video. No pun intended. Now, just a tiny bit of recap that I do want to give. When I very first started out as a carnivore, I weighed somewhere in the mid 180s. 190 was my highest prior to carnivore. And when I first went carnivore, I did lose about 10 pounds. So I got down to 174, which to me, when I think of that number, it's a lot higher than I wanted to be. But I felt really good and I felt like I looked pretty good. So I was like, whatever, all these other great health benefits I'm getting from this diet, I'm just going to be 174, I guess. Even though a couple of my articles of clothing, like some jeans, didn't fit me. But I was not sweating it. But then as the next 6 to 9 months went by, I was slowly gaining weight until I got back up to about 185. Well, then some binging started coming along as I started changing my diet a little bit. And so I basically got back up to my high of 190. So in November of 2023, when I first set out to do this 6-month weight loss challenge, I think I weighed like 187. I struggled a lot along the way with binging, and basically my weight always tops out at 190. And the lowest I ever got during that 6 months was like 178. I'm doing this from memory, but I want to say something like that. So I was close to my carnivore low of 174, but I was still a few pounds off. Now, if you're not into these details, that's okay. I just want to be really clear about this so that it's understandable what I'm saying when I say what my goals are. And by the way, I'm about 5'8". So my goal is to weigh 160, 165, something like that. And if you're looking at a BMI chart, that's at the very high end for my height. I personally think BMI charts are reasonably useful, unless you're like super duper muscly, which I'm not. I mean, I am athletic and muscly, but the point is, I believe that if an insurance company is going to charge me more because I'm technically overweight, I think that's reasonable for them to do. So I want my weight to be at least just a little bit under that recommended weight. I also know that's where I am going to look and feel super good. So my first 6 months at this, when I was trying to lose about 30 pounds, let's just say starting at 190. So my goal was 160. 6 months should have been enough time to do that. But there's a couple of things that I did not do correctly. One is I did not have a specific enough plan. I just sort of started out and I was willing to sort of try this and then try that. If this isn't working, I'll move on and try this other thing. And so I just fumbled around for at least the first 4 months of the 6. And I also just kept getting sidetracked and set back by binge eating. So those were the two problems: not having enough of a plan, not enough structure, and then binging over and over again. But I did learn a lot during that 6 months, as well as during my time as a carnivore for a year and a half before that. So now I truly feel like I'm really equipped to make better choices, set this up better for myself, and I really feel like I've licked the binging thing. So if you haven't watched my most recent video, it seems like it might be a little triggering for some, but I would invite you to go back and watch that. I will attach it at the end of this video so you can find it easily. Now for the thing you're actually here for. Aside from never binging again, there are 5 things that I'm going to do for this next, basically about 6 months. I'll give you more details about that in a minute. To achieve my ideal body weight. Number 1, I'm going to plan to eat between about 2,000 and 2,200 calories per day. I know that might seem like a lot to some, but I previously was trying to do 1,800 calories and I was finishing every meal not quite satisfied. I never really felt full. And so then when I was overeating and getting a sense of fullness, it was like, oh, I want this feeling so bad. And then I just had such a hard time going back to that restricted eating again. I think that 1,800 was a really great place for me to start, but just a little bit too low for my body and my activity level, and with my history with restricted eating and binge eating. And anyway, I think that I'll be able to lose weight eating 2,000 to 2,200 calories a day. I'm pretty active every day. I mean, I'm very active at work as a physical therapist in a hospital, and I'm very active outside of work with my own exercise and stuff. When I look at my Apple Watch data for the last 2 weeks, for example, it says that the average amount of calories I burned through activity are about 800. So when I think of eating 2,200 calories, for example, but then taking away 800, basically, I mean, I don't think I should have any trouble losing weight. Now, I want to give more details about how I'm coming up with these exact numbers and what data I'm using and how someone else could kind of reproduce this. But I don't want this video to just go on forever and be in the weeds. So my next video, I promise, will be about that. How exactly to kind of set this kind of thing up, how I am setting it up, what data I'm using, how someone else could do the same. Number 2, I will be meal prepping most of my food. I've found that trying to track and weigh food and put it in a calorie tracker and all that, it's time consuming and it's annoying, and I feel like sometimes that can be a trigger for binging and overeating. But when I make all my food one day a week and I have food for the rest of the week, it really helps me to get over that mental fatigue of having to do all of that every day. Plus, I work very long days in a hospital, and so I don't really have time to cook on those days anyway. So I've just found meal prepping to be a super, super useful tool for me. But again, it's not going to be a situation where I promise 100% to meal prep so that if I don't, that door is cracked open for binging. No, even if I don't have food ready, I'll figure it out. I don't have to binge. I don't know why it took me 40 years to learn that, but here we are. Now, I've shared several videos in the past of meal prepping, of how I'm cooking things, what exactly I'm cooking, how I store it all for the week and all that. You guys seem to be pretty into that, so I will try to keep that up. But I must admit, I just got a puppy 3 days ago. And it's basically like I have a newborn. It was impossible almost to get my hair and makeup done to film this video. And I think right now, by the grace of God, the puppy is sleeping. So pray for me. It's going to be hard, but I will try to get more of those videos made in the future. Number 3, I'm planning to avoid sweet taste. Now, I understand there will be a time where I have a sweet taste. I don't know why or how that will happen, but it will happen. So again, that cannot be fuel for a binge. I will not binge either way, but I'm not going out of my way to do sweetened electrolyte drinks or chewing gum or anything like that, because I just know that it's harder for me to not binge, to not overeat if I'm indulging in sweets. And sometimes that starts with allowing myself some chewing gum and then being obsessed with chewing gum all day and eating a pack and a half by the end of the day, basically like a smoker who can't stop smoking. So that's just like a beginning, a very, very specific warning sign for me of what's coming. So I'm just not going to do gum, okay? Number 4, I will be lifting weights 3 times a week. Now, I've been pretty active with weightlifting for most of my life. I was actually a competitive powerlifter in high school, and then I'm a physical therapist. So not that that makes you automatically a weightlifter, but I have a lot of knowledge when it comes to exercise and biomechanics and all that. I've not always been super duper consistent with weightlifting, but definitely for the last couple years, I've been really consistent, though I still have not achieved the results that I want because I can't get my body fat quite right because I haven't been able to lose weight and keep it off, specifically lose fat and keep it off. But I recently started working with an online trainer, which has completely transformed my workouts. I've just been doing it a couple months and I can already see a huge change in my body, especially when I can keep a few pounds of body fat off. And it's just been incredible. So this is another thing. I don't want to go too into the weeds with that, but in my next video, I will give you way more details about exactly what I'm doing, about how you could do it if that interests you and all that. So stay tuned. And number 5 is also related to exercise and activity, and that is that I'm going to walk 10,000 steps at least every single day. Now, I don't personally believe I could achieve my physique and fat loss goals just by walking, but as an adjunct to weightlifting, I think it's an incredible tool. Not only does it keep me moving, it's time that I'm not sitting at home thinking about food, but I'm outside most of the time getting fresh air. It's when I do my best thinking. I think it's fantastic for mental health. And I do think, the little bit of calories burned and the muscles used a little bit over time, that's going to make a difference when combined with my strength training. So that's something that I've committed to. And I've actually been doing that already for probably a good month and have noticed some significant improvements already. So I officially started this full program on Memorial Day, which was May 27th. And today is June 3rd. So I've been at this a little bit over a week, I think. I've been at this a week exactly as of today. And my weight this morning was about 181 pounds. So it's working already. In fact, sometimes I'm like, is this working too quickly? Because I don't want to get back in a position where I'm losing weight in an unsustainable way and can't keep it off. But because my mindset is different about binging, I'm not too worried about it. But I also am just very aware. Like the first handful of days, I was really around that 2,000 calorie mark. In the last couple of days, I've allowed myself to be more like 2,200. So as long as I'm slowly losing weight, and I'm talking like maybe a pound a week, maybe even less, as long as I'm slowly moving in the direction I want to go, not binging, not gaining weight, I'm not going to rush it. And here's where it gets a little silly. I like this stuff because I'm a nerd. So I'm going to keep this going from now through the end of the year so I can call it 25 by 25. Basically, my goal is to lose about 25 pounds by 2025. And it definitely should not take 7 months, but losing weight is hard for me, okay? But losing it and keeping it off has been nearly impossible all my life. So that's part of the challenge. It's losing the weight and then keeping my mental stability there. So not binging, not sabotaging myself in other ways, and keeping my weight at my goal weight. So we're going to say my starting weight's 190 because that's kind of where I top out. So my goal is to get to 165, 25 pounds down by 2025. 25 by 25. See, it kind of has a ring to it, right? Another thing I'll definitely do when I get there is get a DEXA scan. I've had a couple and I've shared them with you before, but I will prove to you that the weight I'm losing is not muscle. I've set myself up in a way to lose the majority of the weight coming from body fat and hopefully even increasing my muscle mass. I don't think there's any benefit at all to losing weight, but having most of that be muscle mass, because then you're decreasing your basal metabolic rate. You're setting yourself up for all kinds of issues as you age. It's just bad idea. So let me give you a quick little recap of the 5 things that I'm going to do. And so I don't mess it all up and stumble over my words, I'm going to read it here for you, okay? So I'm going to eat about 2,000 calories per day, up to 2,200. I'm going to meal prep the vast majority of my meals ahead of time. I'm going to avoid sweet tastes. I'm going to lift heavy, mind you. Like, I'm going to failure. I had a killer workout today in the gym. I'm going to lift weights 3 times a week, and I'm going to walk at least 10,000 steps per day. And if I do change anything, I will definitely let you know. But this is a very specifically tailored plan that it's taken me forever to figure out how to make it just like this. And I made it this way because these are things that I can do to lose weight, but I can continue to do. Even if I have a baby, even if I'm traveling, even if, as I age, I mean, I can consistently do these things. And I chose these things because I can consistently do them. So if you decide to try to do something for yourself, I would highly encourage you not to rely on get rich quick, right? Get skinny quick fixes, but things that you can actually make your lifestyle. As cliche as that sounds, I don't know that there's really any other way besides figuring out how to change your lifestyle that doesn't completely like turn over your life in a way that you can't maintain it. So again, if you're interested in more details, I will make another video very soon. Within the next week is my goal, depending on how everything goes with this puppy, to give you very specific details on calculators and objective data to use and how, at least what I've done to come up with this exact specific plan, and also more information on the workout stuff. So if this kind of thing inspires you, that's so great. I'm so happy that you're still sticking with me, even as you've seen me struggle. While it is embarrassing to keep sharing the struggles, I will be so happy if a year from now I'm like, look at me, I'm the picture of health and whatever from the carnivore diet. But don't worry, I've struggled. Go back and watch these old videos. They'll still be there for you to see. That's my ultimate goal with this here. And I really, really think that's going to happen. But again, if you're into this, let me know in the comments. Let me know any questions you have, any comments you have, any thoughts at all. And if you do have questions in an upcoming video, if there are enough, it's something that I can address to the group, then I'd be happy to answer some of those there. And if enough of you are interested in creating something for yourself, I might be open to the idea of doing some kind of a Facebook group or something for accountability, because I think we need something like that. Not that I'm the leader of it, but like maybe just the person that brings people together, something that's free, something that just you feel like maybe you can share things where you can't in other places. So if you enjoyed this, please like it. And if you know somebody who might benefit from this, send it to them. And if you haven't already, subscribe. You will get to see every little bit of what's going on with 25 by 25. And by the way, I was completely serious about the potential accountability thing. So if that interests you, let me know in the comments. But if it seems like I didn't see it, you can also email me anytime at drjen@delightedtomeetyou.com. And that's Jen with one N. Okay, I'll see you soon. And hopefully you'll see a little bit less of me next time, but still all of my hair, because I'm hoping I haven't lost it all from this puppy. Thanks for watching. I hope you have the best day.